Hi, my name is Aneta and this is Chemistry a Glance. Today we are going to practice some past paper questions on masses of atoms and compounds and amount of substance. If you're not familiar with this topic, I created a post on my blog. I leave all the links in the description box below where you can learn something more about it and see how I learned it once I was at the A level. Okay, this is the easiest topic from the chemical calculations, and you're going to need a periodic table. The first question asks you to calculate the relative molecular mass of Na2S2O3.5H2O. So relative molecular mass is the MR, and MR is the average mass of the whole compound, so adding all the ARs of every single atom together. So we need the periodic table for this and find the Na on the periodic table, which is right here. And what you gotta do is just times the relative atomic mass, which is the top number, by 2 because we've got 2 of them, so 23 times 2. Then we add the relative atomic mass of the second one, which is sulfur. Sulfur is right here, it's 32.1, and we also got 2 of them. Then you add the relative atomic mass of oxygen, which is 16, and this time we've got 3 of them. Then you've got a dot, which means you've got like a second part of that compound, which is water, and you've got 5 waters. So this gives us 5 times 2, which is 10 hydrogens, and hydrogen is 1.01, adding 5 oxygens, which is 16. Then what you're going to do is just put everything into your calculator, and it will give you an answer of 248.3, and this is the MR of this compound. Next question says, calculate the mass of sodium that contains 6 times 10 to the 23 atoms, and we know that Avogadro's constant is 6 times 10 to the 23. This means that many particles is 1 mole. So we know if our sodium has 6 times 10 to the 23 atoms, that means it has 1 mole. So N equals 1. And our equation that you have to remember is N equals M over MR. We know N is 1. We know the MR of sodium equals 23. So what you're going to do is find mass. So rearrange the equation. We just take it over to that side, put in the numbers. N is 1 times 23 equals 23 grams. Our next part, calculate the mass of sodium that contains 4 times 10 to the 25 atoms. So we have to know how many moles this is. So this number is obviously bigger than this one because you've got to power of 25 and this is only power 23. So what you're going to do is this, divide by the Avogadro's constant. 6 times 10 to 23. And this will give you 66.66 reoccurring. This is our moles. This is how many moles of sodium we have now. The MR stays the same, 23. So you got to find the mass again. Just N times MR, and it's 66.66 reoccurring times 23, which is the MR, and this gives us 1,533 grams, 0.3. And next question, calculate the mass of silver that contains the same number of atoms as there are molecules in 11 grams of carbon dioxide. So it says that contains the same number of atoms as there are molecules in 11 grams of carbon dioxide. So what we got to do is find the number of moles in carbon dioxide first. So N equals mass over MR. This gives us 11 over the MR of CO2, which is 12, plus 16 plus 16 because we have 2 oxygens. And these are the relative atomic masses of these elements. And this gives us 44. You would put it in here, and the answer is 0.25. What they mean that it contains the same number of atoms as there are molecules in this is that 1 mole of any substance has exactly the same amount of particles, because we know 1 mole is 6 times 10 to the 23 particles. So 1 mole of any substance will have that amount of particles. So if we have 0.25 mole of carbon dioxide, our silver will have the same amount of molecules at 0.25 moles. That's why we use 0.25 moles to calculate that mass of silver. So what you got to do is find silver on the periodic table, which is right here, and its relative atomic mass is 108. And find mass. So rearrange the equation in order to find mass. It's N times the MR. We know N is 0.25. MR is 108. So the mass is 27 grams. Next question. Calculate the molar mass of calcium sulfate dihydrate. This right here. So you got to find the molar mass. Molar mass is the MR. So calcium on the periodic table is right here, so it's 40.1. Oh, wrong question. 40.1 plus sulfur. Sulfur we've got right here, 32.1. For oxygens, oxygens is 16, so times it by 4. Plus 2 big at the front, times the little one, so 2 times 2 is 4 hydrogens. Hydrogens not 1.1 plus 2 times the oxygens. Put it all in a calculator, and this will give you 172.24. The second part of this question is calculate the percentage of water in calcium sulfate dihydrate by mass. So we know the MR of the whole compound, which is 172.24. Now we've got to find the percentage of water, just the water. So you have to find the MR of water, which is 2H2O. So we've got 4 times 1.01, this is hydrogens, and 2 times 16, this is the oxygen part. This gives us 36.04. So what you've got to do is find the percentage of this in this. So you do 36.04 over the amount of the whole compound, times it by 100 to give the percentage, and this will equal to 20.9%. Right, next question. Find the percentage by mass of magnesium, oxygen, and sulfur in magnesium sulfate. This is magnesium sulfate. So again, what you got to do at the beginning is find the MR of the whole compound. So magnesium has a relative atomic mass of 24.3. We've got one of it. Sulfur, again, 32.1. Then oxygens, we've got 4 of them. And this gives us an answer of 120.4. Now, we've got to find the AR, the percentage of each of these in this whole compound. So magnesium was 24.3 over 120.4 times 100 equals 20.18%. This is the percentage of magnesium in the whole compound. Next one is sulfur. So sulfur was 32.1 over the whole MR of the compound, and this gives you 26.66%. This is the percentage of sulfur in the whole compound. And the last one is oxygen. Oxygen was 16 times 4. So you got to do 16 times 4 over the amount of the whole compound times 100, And this gives you 53.16%. When you do this and you want to check if you did it right, you can just add all these percentages and this should give you 100%. I've got some more questions for you. State which one of the following contains the greatest number of molecules. So for it to have the greatest amount of molecules, it has to have the greatest amount of moles. So the bigger the mole number will be, the bigger the number of molecules will be. So we can just find number of moles for each one, which is mass over mR. Mass of hydrogen is 3, and we got hydrogen. Hydrogen always goes in pairs as H2. So we got 2.02 as the mR, because one hydrogen is 1.01 times it by 2 is 2.02. And this gives you 1.49. Next one. N equals mass over mR. The mass is 32. Oxygen also goes in pairs. One oxygen is 16 times 2 is 32. This gives you 1. Next one, 36 over water. Water is this. 2 hydrogens, 2.02 plus 16 for the oxygen, which gives you 18.02. And the mR for this is 2.0. And then the last one is 66 grams of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide looks like this. We got 12 plus 2 oxygens, which gives you 44. And the answer to this one is 1.50. This means C is the winner because C has the greatest number of moles, which means greatest number of molecules. And this is our last but very long question. The first part says, what is the mass of 4 mole of sodium chloride? State how many molecules there are. So what you got to do first is find the mass. Mass will be N times mR because this is the rearrangement of our equation. We know that the N of this is 4 moles. Times it by the mR of NaCl. From our periodic table, we know that relative atomic mass of sodium is 23 and relative atomic mass of chlorine is 35.5. So we do 23 plus 35.5. And this is what you gotta do. What you gotta times it by. And the answer to this is 234 grams. But what you also asked is to state how many molecules there are. So we know 1 mole of molecules is 6 times 10 to the 23 because that's the Avogadro's constant, but we've got 4 moles. So what you've got to do is times the Avogadro's constant times 4. And this gives us 2.40 times 10 to the 24 molecules. Next question, next part of the question really. How many moles of is 37 grams of calcium hydroxide? And then state again how many molecules there are. So we got to find the number of moles, which is mass over mR. We know the mass is 37 grams, but we have to find the mR of this first. So calcium is 40.1 plus we've got 2 hydrogens plus we got 2 oxygens plus we got 2 hydrogens you put this in the equation and the answer for this one is 0.5 mole. How many molecules there is? Because you've got to times it by the Avogadro's constant. And this gives you 3 times 10 to the 23, which is half of this. Next bit. What is the mass of 0.125 moles of calcium oxide? State how many molecules there are. So again, we're trying to find the mass. It's N times mR. We know N is 0.125 because this is the number of moles. And then you've got to times it by the MR. Copper is 63.5. Then you've got to add the oxygen as well. And this is equal to 9.94 grams. Again, find the number of molecules. So we got 0.125 moles times it by the Avogadro's constant. And this gives you 7.5 times 10 to the 22 molecules. Next part. 0.1 mole of a substance, weight 4 grams. What is the mass of 1 mole? So it's 0.1 mole, weight 4 grams, and 1 divided by 0.1 is 10. So we've got 10 0.1 moles, and if 1 0.1 mole weight 4 grams, this means that 1 will equal question mark. And this is our cross multiplication again. So 1 times 4 over 1 times something, and then you do over here, over 0.1. And when you put all of this in your calculator, this gives you an answer of 40 grams. Next question. 0.004 moles of a substance weighs 1 gram. What is the MR of the compound? And state how many molecules there are. So if we know that it weighs this amount of moles and weighs that many grams, you can find the MR by rearranging this equation. So we just take over the MR and divide by number of moles. 1 gram over 0.004 moles, and this gives you 250. This is the MR of a substance. And then again, we have to state how many molecules there are, so we just do number of moles, which is 0.004, times it by the Avogadro's constant. And this gives you 2.4 times 10 to the 21 molecules. And the very last bit, state which of the following gases contains the greatest number of molecules in 2.8 grams. Again, this is a question very similar to the top one. The compound which will have the greatest amount of moles will have the greatest amount of molecules. Because if you have 1 mole of substance, it's 6 times 10 to the 23. But if you've got 2 moles of substance, it's 2 times that Avogadro's constant. So we find number of moles by doing this equation. So mass over MR. They all have 2.8 grams. CO, 12 plus 16. And this gives us 0.1 moles. Next one. Mass over MR. 2.8 grams. Got 2 times 12 this time, which is 24. Plus we've got 4 hydrogens, each of 1.01, which is 4.04. And this gives us 0.1 moles as well. Next one. 2.8 grams over the MR. 1 nitrogen is 14, but we've got 2 of them, so we times it by 2. This also gives us 0.1. And our last one is 2.8 hydrogen, which is 1.01, carbon 12, nitrogen 14. And this gives an answer of 0.103. So this one is slightly bigger than the rest of them, so we'll have the greatest amount of molecules. And that was all of the questions. I hope you learned something from it. Go back to my post blog. There are more examples in there. If you want a copy of all these questions that I just showed you, just email me. I'll leave all the links in the description box below. But for now, remember, everything I show you are my techniques and ways of learning and advising. If you have any questions about my videos, please comment or email me. Link in the description box below. Also, if you have any comments about the quality or content of my videos, please also leave them under this video. Thank you. Like, subscribe, and see you soon. Bye!